Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
And compliments from directors today for setting up the annual Corporate Governance Day, and we are very happy to know about this. But how this idea came up? What is the thought behind it?
We celebrate so many things, but we don't celebrate the fact that governance can lead to exceptional value creation. And we thought that if you want to have a situation where the whole world begins to see that governance will lead to economic value add, then the whole purpose of the governance day will become very clear.
Very good, sir. And what is the future vision? What is the plan? How are you planning to take this governance day? Because this is the first one. What are the future plans?
The vision is that we would like to share at each day the best practices at that time, the cutting edge great practices which lead to extraordinary board performance. We need to lift every company, whether it has just come out of sickness or it has just come out of a IBC process or it's a not-for-profit or it's a private company or it's a public company, to the greatest glory and heights of corporate governance. And we want to sing this line in every day that we celebrate in years to come.
Oh, good. So connected with this, integrated reporting has been much in news, and there has been inadequacy around the integrated reporting. How do you plan to reinforce this and guide people in running it effectively?
That's a fantastic question. It's the best practice. It's the current best practice. And therefore I love the question. There are 6 capitals. And let me walk you through by a practical example of a board meeting which we had over 2 days, which put us in touch with these 6 capitals. So let us take the first and most obvious capital, financial capital. How did we decide how to report it? So we said that if the cash to cash cycle can be given greater velocity, then with the same resources today that we have, in terms of all organizational resources, we can get to 4x the turnover. And we actually saw this happen. Financial metric, cash to cash cycle, outcome, 4x without adding a single resource. So much more out of much less. That was the mantra that we captured. As velocity of cash increases, you can see that the entire organization changes. Working capital usage is reduced, the capital to asset turns are increased, the profitability goes up, the ROE starts increasing by multiples. And as ROE increases, the multiples of the organization increase, and therefore the market cap of the companies increases. So that's the full link that we established. Then there is the question of how do you create the brand capital. Today, data creates everything, including the brand. And we discovered in this retail company that it's critically important to communicate what the brand is doing. And what the brand communicates, it communicates looks. So for example, there's an airport look which is very different from a beach look, which is very different from a party look. And so how can we cater to all of this, including a marriage look? So the social media, the digital media, the co-creation idea, the idea of macro trends and how they would translate into creating large retail opportunities is what was understood and put into practice in this segment. Intellectual capital. So critical. No company today can really have any meaningful existence or sustainability without having some very clear, so a high definition store which has experiences of the kind that people have never felt before is the creation of intellectual capital. Moving from online to offline and offline to online and creating this in a seamless, continuous way is intellectual capital, which has been mastered by the Chinese retailers, and now is being mastered by the Indian retailers. So that is the intellectual capital. Then there's the human capital. People need to be free to innovate. The biggest value comes into a corporation because people are left free to do what they think will work for the customer. How do you do that? You look at aging populations. You make sure that you are able to cater to people. The average lifespan of a human being has gone from 31 to 71 in 50 years. And it's going to go beyond 100 years in the next 20 years. Now, if that happens, then you've got to cater to an absolutely new segment of the market. And how do the human beings in an organization get around to doing this? You need forums, you need communication, you need collaboration, you need completely different mindsets which will work with each other. And then the physical capital. So critical to have a high definition store with experiences being the center of it. How nice you would feel if you walked into a store, the aisles were so aligned that whatever you needed was available to you first. You put it into your cart, it was all scanned and collected, and you walk out because they already know who you are and they debit your credit card. And that's what is called a high performance, high definition store, the likes of which have begun to appear all over the world. And finally, environmental capital. What about natural products? What about products which do not use up the environment? What about packaging which does not involve plastic or landfill? How do you become water positive? All of these will become absolutely essential ingredients of how a good corporation should be governed. Followed up with that is extraordinary board evaluation to make sure that all these capitals in their creation and curation and enhancement is actually tracked and measured. And you get a feedback every board meeting to make sure that the board is on purpose.
Thank you, sir. I think these are really great wisdom words, and on the Corporate Governance Day, the audience is going to benefit from such wisdom. And in the meanwhile, what would be your message to the chairman and managing directors of various boards and how to run effective boards?
Leverage your board. Get all the best out of the minds which are sitting around your table. And make sure that they perform to make sure that your market cap gets enhanced.
Thank you very much, sir. I'm sure the Corporate Governance Day is going to be a great success. Thank you.